Right, boys, in this video I'm going to be talking about how I started appointment setting, just sharing my personal story, and hopefully you can take a little bits of value in this story because I'm going to talk to you about some mistakes I made before starting. You know, if any of you guys have watched my VSL, then you know that I've tried many different side hustles, had no success with any of those, and then I started appointment setting and I got immediate results. Within the first week that I started appointment setting, I got results. So I'm going to be talking about that in this video. So I started appointment setting. At the time, so this was last year in 2022, I was working at Nando's at the time. I was working a regular job at Nando's. I hated it there. It wasn't a hard job. It was a nice environment, easy work. But, you know, as men, we all know that it's not our purpose to stand there in a restaurant cooking food for 10 hours a day, right? So I was working at Nando's at the time. It wasn't a bad job. I was on my grind still. I was in the gym. I was boxing. Like I said, I tried many different side hustles before. And I just hadn't had any success with those. At the time as well, I did have a little side hustle going on with the Masculinity Club, which I still have today. Obviously, if you guys follow me on this Instagram account, the Masculinity Club, you know, I call it a side hustle, but like I wasn't making any money from this account. I'm still not. It's a complete, I don't make any money. I still post every single day to this day. Go give that a follow, boys. I post some really good content on there. Check it out. So I had this little side hustle going on, Masculinity Club. I wasn't making any money and I was just fed up. I just needed to escape the matrix, right? I needed to find a way out. And I was going to the gym. Like I was grinding, boys. Like I was in this job and I was pure monk mode. Like self-improvement was getting mad. Last year is when everything like turned around for me, right? I've always been, well, since I left college, got into sales, I've always been in like self-improvement and make money online and side hustles and gym, boxing, etc. But I was never like fully committed. I was still playing video games in moderation. Boys, you people that come to me and say like, oh, I can still do this in moderation, like you make me cringe so bad, because I used to be that guy. Back in 2021, I was still, you know, into side hustles, self-improvement, escape the matrix, etc. But I was just like you guys saying, oh yeah, I play video games in moderation, I need balance. And boys, when I tell you that things only started to change for me once I fully committed. If you've heard of something called monk mode, in 2022, last year, around the same time last year, I committed to monk mode. And that's when things really started to change, when I cut out video games entirely, deleted Netflix subscription, etc., when I fully committed. So at the time when I first got into appointment setting, you know, I'd already been grinding. I already knew how to work hard, commit myself. I was disciplined. I was going gym so many times. I was going gym maybe 4 times a week and then boxing like 3 times a week. So I was working out every day, right? And at the gym, this is important. This is the important part. This is where things like really change. At the gym, I met a guy called Jay, who is my mentor to this day, good friend of mine. Met a guy called Jay. I was speaking to him. You know, he's got a nice car. You know, the guy at the gym with a nice car, right? Obviously, I'm trying to escape the matrix. I want to speak to him, innit? So, speaking to Jay, and you know, he's my mentor now. Speaking to Jay, and he just speaking to this guy just opened my eyes to the possibility, to open my eyes to the opportunity in front of me. You know, when you've got the brokey mindset, right, you don't realize how much opportunity there is out there. You hear these guys talking about abundance mindset, but you know, you don't actually like you hear people talking about the abundance mindset, but you don't actually realize, you don't actually adopt that abundance mindset until you speak to some of these people and you hear about the things that they're accomplishing, the money that they're making, or you speak to rich people, and automatically your mind just sort of opens up to the idea of making all this money. Because when you've got the brokey mindset, you don't even realize how much money you can make, right? You try and affirm it like, oh yeah, I'm going to make 10k a month by the end of 2022, but deep down you don't believe that. Deep down you've never seen that kind of money before in your life. So until you actually get out there and start speaking to some of these rich people, you're never going to truly adopt that abundance mindset. So speaking to Jay at the gym, went gym, organised some like coffee, like meetups. I don't drink coffee. I just go and have a hot chocolate and we just talk, right? Because I was just trying to learn as much information as I could, just soak up everything. Because this guy, Jay, he really helped me out here and really opened my eyes to the opportunity. Gave me a book recommendation that I highly recommend called The Power of Awareness. That honestly is one of the best books I've ever read. It's a little bit confusing, but if you actually just open your mind and go look past the metaphors, then it's actually a really viable book, boys. So speaking to Jay, and it just sort of opened my eyes to the amount of opportunity in front of me. And then that's when I realized, look, I'm not making any money off the Masculinity Club. I'm grinding, I'm boxing, I'm on self-improvement, but it's time for me to start getting paid. Because that's what we all want. We all want to get paid. Just turn this off. So at this point, I realized it's time to, Masculinity Club, I'm going to keep that going, but I'm going to put less effort into that. Because at the time, I was like writing ebooks and stuff and putting lots of time into things that weren't making me money. But now it's time to scrap all that, time to make money. I'm leaving Amazon, I'm leaving Nando's. It's time to make serious money. So I had a little think. I came to the conclusion that get something sales related would be my best option. Most of you guys know I started in door-to-door sales, so I already had experience. So what you need to do, boys, if you're sitting there at home watching this and you want to figure out a way to escape the matrix, have a think. What skills do you already possess? For me, it was sales. Those were the skills that I had, but you might be different. You might have experience in something else. Maybe it's like graphic designing or something. Whatever that might be, have a think. What skills do you have that you could monetize to make money? If you don't have any skills, that's fine. You can learn. And if you don't have any skills and you're in that position where you need to learn something, have a think, what would you like to learn? Or have a think about what is the best move on the chessboard, right? What is the most efficient way? What's the best skill that you could learn that would get you to your goal, whatever that is? For me, at the time, it was 5K per month. So a year ago today, I read the book 4 Hour Work Week, and I did this worksheet, making a load of calculations, like how much money would I need to make to live a good life? And at the time, the calculations brought me to 5K per month. A year later, I'm making that money for appointment setting. And this is what I came to the conclusions. I came to the conclusion I need to get into sales. And I also came to the conclusion I need to make money online, right? Because you can't escape the matrix if you've got to show up at the office every day. That's not escaping the matrix. So I started appointment setting, going to appointment setting. And the key here, I was supposed to be taking notes. So, you know what? Working at Nando's at the time. Met my mentor at the gym. Guy with the nice car. Lesson to be learned here, by the way, guys. Try and network with rich people. Just talk to people. You don't have to have any intentions behind this. If you notice someone at your gym with a nice car, just go speak to him. If you see someone out in public and they've got a certain swagger about them, just go talk to them. Like just a friendly conversation, and you might end up learning something, or you might end up building a valuable connection. That's how to network, guys. You don't have to go up to these people expecting something from them. Just go up to them and talk to them. It's not that hard. Learn to communicate, boys, because networking at the end of the day, this act right here, speaking to this guy called Jay at my gym, ultimately has led to a massive change for me. So I was working at another time, met my mentor at the gym, decided to make money, adopted an abundance mindset. That's a very important point, adopted the abundance mindset. So I got into appointment setting, and as I said previously, I've tried many different side hustles in the past, and I didn't get results from those things. And do you know what the difference was between this and everything else? One, appointment setting wasn't saturated, which is quite an important point now that I think about it. Isn't saturated. You know, all these things like drop shipping, SMMA, copywriting, short form video editing. That you can achieve results in these things, but they are very saturated. It's going to be a lot harder to do something, to get results in something that's saturated compared to something that isn't saturated, like appointment setting. So yes, appointment setting wasn't saturated like everything else that I'd previously tried, but there was one other thing that made a big difference with achieving my results so quickly. Because if you don't know, literally in my first 3 days, I signed my first client with appointment setting. By the end of my first week, I'd made 1.5k. That's how quickly I got results with appointment setting. So the main difference was I took immediate action. Speed and action are the key words here. So obviously I was speaking to my mentor at the time, right? And I used to be one of those people, and I'm sure that at least one of you guys watching this video can relate to me on this. I used to be that person where I would want to start this side hustle and I'd sit down for a couple of days and I'd just make notes. I'd just make so many notes on that subject, like copywriting, pages and pages of notes, trying to learn everything I need to know about copywriting before I start copywriting. So I'd be practicing my copywriting, I'd be making notes, best ways to find new clients, best ways to do outreach, how to send cold emails, and all of these different things. I've been making notes. But what I've learned now is that speed is the key to success. Your notes, you know, when you're making notes, you feel productive. You're releasing. What you don't realize is you're actually sort of getting high from the dopamine that you're gaining from writing notes. You feel good about yourself. You feel productive, and you feel good, and you're excited. You think you're making money, but in reality, boys, you're just wasting time. All of that time you spent making notes, what you need to realize is you're still just in your comfort zone. You're sat in your comfort zone. You feel a lot more productive than you actually are. Because one very common characteristic of successful people is they take immediate action. The best way to learn is not through taking notes, but through taking action. If you want to learn to swim, you don't take notes on how to learn to swim. You get in the water and you start practicing. And the quicker you get in the water, the quicker you can get those results. So when it comes to me starting appointment setting, I didn't take any notes. To be honest, when I started appointment setting, I didn't even really know what to do. I was like, okay, I guess I'm sending messages and booking sales calls. Like, okay, cool. And that's it. I started outreach from day one. 0 notes, 0 time spent planning. Immediately, I had the idea, appointment setting. Straight away, day one, I start sending cold DMs on Instagram. I didn't know about Facebook groups. I didn't know about Upwork. I didn't know about any of these other ways of prospecting. Or I watched no YouTube videos about this, like nothing. I had no one to tell me these things. I just used my brain. I had an idea and I just started messaging people, offering my appointment setting services. On Instagram, 40 messages per day. And like I said, literally on my 3rd day, I had a call. I literally left work at Nando's 5 minutes early just to really make sure that I'd get home in time for this call. I had a sales call on Zoom, signed my first client. And by the end of the week, I'd already made 1.5. That is how quickly I got results. And why did I get results so quickly? Because I took action so quickly. I didn't mess around, beating around the bush, writing notes. To be honest, boys, when I was doing my outreach, offering my appointment setting services, I was purely winging it. I didn't even know how I was going to deliver results for my client. I didn't even know. I was just going off just winging it. But at the end of the day, I signed my first client, and then it's at that point, it's like, oh, well, I've got a deal now. Now I've got to deliver. And that's what's going to force you to improve even more. Because once you've got that pressure on your shoulders, like, look, you've got a client now, the pressure's on, now you've got to learn how to do it. You don't have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to have a very unhappy customer. So that's the moral of that whole story is, don't be one of those guys, one of those geeks that sit there taking notes. This is something that I'm very, I've emphasized a lot in the Alpha Setter program. In my program, when I teach my students, from day one, you start your outreach. From day one, I'm helping you guys set up deals with your clients. I do set up deals for my students, and it's not something where I make you go through your 6 weeks of training before I set up a deal for you. No, screw all that. I don't care. Worst case scenario, you sign your first client immediately, you do a really bad job and they don't want to work with you anymore. In the worst case scenario, you've had more experience than other people, you've learned a lot more than you would have learned by just taking notes, and hopefully you've even made a little bit of money in the process. The goal when starting a side hustle, starting appointment setting, is to get money in your pocket as fast as possible. It's not to sit there and take notes. It's not productive, boys. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's that speed is the key to success, and action is the key to learning. Again, this is something that I really drill into my students. This is the most important part about this whole video. Speed is the key to success and action is the key to learning. So I started my outreach just messaging business owners on Instagram. One thing that I will say is try to be as unique as possible with your messages. If I showed you the message that I actually used to sign my first client in 3 days, you wouldn't believe it. It was so original, so out there, so unique that you would not believe it. Obviously, my students know about this. I'm not going to show it on this YouTube video, but you need to be as unique as possible with your outreach. Don't sound like a robot. Don't sound like everyone else. You've got to stand out here, boys. So I dove into Instagram, started messaging business owners, and I didn't have anyone to teach me this sort of thing because I had a mentor, yes, but I didn't have a mentor in appointment setting. My mentor doesn't do appointment setting. He's my business life mentor, my general mentor, not an appointment setting mentor. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing, but I figured it out through taking action. And if there's another thing I want you to take away from this video is how quickly you can actually get results. I speak to a lot of people doing SMMA. I get a lot of messages from SMMA owners. And I ask, how's that going for you so far? Oh, well, I've been doing it for about 3 months, not made any money so far, but I'm being consistent with my outreach. It shouldn't take you 3 months to make your first sale, to get your first client. It doesn't take that long. Everyone overestimates how long it takes. Yes, it's great that you can show that you can stay committed to something for that amount of time. That's great. You're definitely going to crush it in appointment setting, but it doesn't take that long. And I think it all comes down to mindset, understanding that you are capable of much faster results. I think that's everything that I need to cover in this video. Anyway, speed is the key to success. Action is the key to learning. Just check my notes. When I said I started, I was sending about 40 messages per day, obviously for 3 days before I signed my first client. The more messages you can send, the better. The more you put in, the more you'll get out. If you can send 100 messages a day, then maybe you will get results a lot quicker than I did. I made 1.5 and signed my first client in the first week. In the first week of appointment setting, 1.5k. I quit my job at Nando's literally within 3 weeks of starting appointment setting, that's just a reference number of how quickly you can escape the matrix if you fully commit to one of these unsaturated high value skills like appointment setting or high ticket closing. But it doesn't need to take long, guys. It doesn't need to be a long process. Go out there, believe in yourself, act quickly, take action, speed, action, believe in yourself, abundance mindset, and last of all, volume. Like I said, the more you put in, the more you'll get out. Don't just send 10 messages a day and expect to get results. 40, 50, 60 messages a day. Let's make it happen, boys. Hope this helped. Hopefully you can learn from, this video. Like I said, I used to make the mistake of taking notes. Don't be that geek. Take action, boys, and good luck. Let me know if you need any help with appointment setting. I'm always here to answer any of your questions. My Instagram is Temi Lowery Official. I really appreciate you boys taking the time to watch this video. And yeah, keep grinding, boys.